Hello everyone, Blushell here. Today we are doing a GDQ submission for sdrawkcab. Let's get into it. So, the first thing I want to explain is the character cart combo that I have. So, I'm using Fishbone on the Toon Thumper, and the reason I'm using that is for its stats. Its acceleration is very, very high, and we need that for some of the tricks that we're doing. Handling as well. Handling is important. So you might notice I'm already starting at Wario Shipyard, and the reason for that is because if let's say I wanted to start at Salty Speedway, I'd have to go there, right? So the time between, like, the loading zone, like between this from going somewhere to the place you're trying to start from. Sorry if this is a bad explanation, but the loading time is a lot quicker if you start in the place where you're starting from. Like if you load from the place where you're starting from. For example, I'm starting on Wario Shipyard, right? If I load into Wario Shipyard from Wario Shipyard, that loading time right here is a lot quicker than if I didn't. If that makes sense, you're probably really smart, because that was a terrible explanation. Anyways, this is a very RNG heavy track because you need a feather. Luckily I got a feather. That is just crazy odds. You also need a mushroom or a speed item, and luckily I got a speed item right here. The bad news is if you get a star, you have to probably start the run over again, because you can't do this without a mushroom, right? Because, like, you need to line it up. Oh, I clipped the wall right there. Alright, let's see if I can get this. That's it. You have to do that with the mushroom. If you had a star, you wouldn't be able to make that jump. And that's a good item to have right here. Right here, a star is a good item to have. And the reason is because you can just go over that off-road. Now, getting that item box helps a lot, especially if it's a golden, because this is all water, and speed items are a lot quicker when you're on the water. Alright. And another thing you might notice me doing right here is... oh, messing up. But, another thing you might notice me doing here is jumping every time I'm in the waves, because that's a lot quicker. So there's two tracks in this run where you have to go forward to go backwards, and that was one track. This is another. And by forward to go backwards, I mean, like, this starts you out backwards, so you have to just go forwards. You can't turn around, otherwise you'd be driving the course. So, yeah. And like I said, this run is very RNG heavy, so luckily I got a mushroom there. I'm gonna quit talking so I can get this. Oh, okay. I'm never good at this cut. This cut's really, really hard. I always try to get a feather, because that's a lot easier. Oh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is really hard cut, but it's necessary for the run. Oh my gosh. No. Yeah, I'm sorry this is taking a long time. If I had a feather, it'd be quicker. I can go back and get a feather, but that would waste a lot of time. There we go. Don't bump me. Thank you. Yeah. So, he bumped me, but what I was trying to do is, from landing, build up a charge jump. And the reason I was trying to do that is because you can skip that entire thing without an item. as far as I know, I'm the only one who does that consecutively. The second place holder uses a feather to do that, or tries to, but yeah. And I was trying to build up a charge jump, you could see, to get onto the pipe and skip that turn, but I couldn't. But anyways, onto Bowser's Castle. So Bowser's Castle, there's a couple tricks I want to talk about here. So this first trick, I'm trying to get a feather. If I can get a feather, then I'm good. Nope, doesn't matter. So Lakitu, this is one of the few tracks on free roam where Lakitu will actually pick you up. And there's quite a few instances on this track where you're going to need it. Like right here, you can just jump off and he'll pick you up and put you further along. So what you need to do is not that, you don't need to go in the lava, but you do not, it keeps trying to boost me forward because of the boost. What you need to do is go backwards onto the panel in order to continue going backwards, because that's a rule we have. You have to do the majority of the track backwards, and that constitutes majority, right? Okay, so I missed the item boxes there, which a star is very useful on this section because of the lava, right? But as long as you get a good enough landing, you're fine. Sometimes you can whiff the landing completely and land in the lava, and that's bad. But that's a good item to have. Having a feather, because you can just get onto the rail, which takes the turn a lot tighter and faster. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I forgot my route for a little bit. Alright, so Toad's Factory. Toad's Factory, there's 2 skips that you need to do. One involves a mushroom, the other doesn't. A feather. One involves a feather, the other doesn't. That was terrible. I didn't get anything. I need at least a little bit of a trick boost in order to get a boost there. A star is not great, but I think I can manage if I get this item box, you know? Oh, feather. Perfect. Okay, so with the feather, what you can do... No. Okay. So with the feather, you can just jump that entire gap right there, like I did, and saves a lot of time. Oh wow, I got really good items on this track. Alright. Choco Mountain. I've invented a skip here, and I'm going to show it right at the start. I invented a skip. So, originally, there's an item box further along that you had to go forward to get a feather and then do this jump, but I discovered that you can do it completely itemless. And I call it Big Fudge. I call it the Big Fudge skip because it's called Choco Mountain. Chocolate, right? So fudge. Yeah, it's a funny name, but yeah, it's a hard skip to do because not only do you have to, like... Okay, so feathers right here is not bad. So you have to skip the chocolate, right? I assume that's chocolate, not mud, because it's Choco Mountain, but yeah. Anyways, the skip isn't hard to do. All you have to do is just wall ride a bunch and practice it, and it'll get better and easier as you go along. This track also has a skip that I discovered, but it's really, really hard to do, because it's very luck-based. Like a lot of stuff in the speedrun, it relies heavily on RNG, and it involves getting the feather, which, as we know, feather odds are extremely slim. Okay, never mind. So I'm gonna go for the skip that I discovered. So, Okay, so I can still get the skip that I discovered if I try for a second. Oh no. Okay. I can for sure get this. Sorry, this is taking too long. I can make this without doing the skip, but the skip is really fun and I want to showcase it. Okay. So, if I do that, then I do that. Come on, be a feather, be a feather, be a feather. Ah, whatever. Anyways, if this is a feather, you can clear this entire jump, which saves about 3 seconds. And 3 seconds might not sound like a lot, but it actually is in a run this big. Alright, so this last bit is just... well, that was a bad skip, but there it is. And then this track also relies heavily on RNG, but not as much. Like, the only RNG you need is not a star. That's all you hope for on this track, is not that you don't get a star, because stars are terrible in this run in general. Stars are terrible. Mushrooms are great because, especially for this track you need mushrooms and a feather, hopefully. Yes, okay, so now that I've got mushrooms and a feather, if you see that little thing that I was jumping off of, there we go. You can actually jump off and make that. Another thing you can jump off and make is this. You can jump off and make that if you get a feather. Only if you get a feather, meaning this is a very RNG heavy part, which is why it's in the first few tracks of the run. I'm forgetting my own route a little bit here, sorry about that. So Sky High Sundae is another very RNG heavy track. Like, not as much as Peach Stadium. I like to joke that Peach Stadium is quote-unquote the run killer, because it is. It will destroy most runs if you let it. But this track will also destroy runs. Oh, trust me. Like, look at these. I'm just getting mushroom after mushroom after mushroom. Like, you want a feather, but sometimes the track won't allow it. Like, this is... There we go, there we go. I got a feather. Alright, now what you want to do is build a charge jump. Oh, I rode off instead of pricking off of the sprinkle. So, that's what you want to do. You want to get the trick, because that will help you. And then ride the rail. Oh, I missed the rail. Okay, whatever. You need a feather here, so just hope you get a feather. Oh my gosh, I'm insane. I just willed a feather into existence. Alright, so wall rides on that section might look difficult, but it's actually really easy once you get the hang of it. This section, on the other hand, is difficult, and sometimes you'll need to back up a bit in order to succeed at the wall ride right there. And then wall ride into a rail, and that end of the rail is very tricky because sometimes you won't make the jump or make the jump right, and you'll just miss it. Alright, Airship Fortress has a little bit of tech. Some tech that the second placeholder does. And... Okay, so I got a feather here, which is not great, but it's very useful at the end. so what I want to do, since I didn't get a mushroom, is drift tight on the corkscrew. And right here I need to concentrate, so I'm sorry if I won't talk. Oof, that was rough. Sometimes you'll be able to land perfectly on that panel, so that's what I was attempting to do, but I missed it. Alright, so you want to just play this section like normal. Right here, you wanted to get that trick, otherwise you're stuck doing the... Alright, there it is. Otherwise you're stuck hitting that part of the ramp and getting some airtime, which is really, really bad. Right here, this is really cool. I like this track for sdrawkcab. I really like this track. If you get a feather here, don't worry, just use it before you land on the ground and you'll be fine. And right here, I've devised a strategy that's different from what I used to do. What I used to do was a lot quicker, but it was also a lot more inconsistent. Oh, he bumped me. He bumped me as I was trying to showcase a shortcut. Alright. Anyways, that's that track. This track, there's really nothing. It's kind of straightforward. There is one thing, but I don't know how to do it. The thing that I know how to do is a lot slower than what I should do. If that makes sense. Like, I have a thing that's a lot slower that I do, but it's also a lot easier in my opinion to pull off. Alright, so that wasn't bad item pull. Oh, I keep missing the track because I keep forgetting my route. Alright, Whistle Stop Summit. Sometimes there's a car off to your right, so sometimes you'll hit it. And a good sign of sometimes of what whether you might be able to hit something or not is if the map doesn't show for a second or two, because sometimes the car will be there if the map doesn't show, which is very weird, but trust me, it's just one of those things that I just like to look for in a run. Well, I try not to look for it because hopefully that means there isn't a car, but you know what I mean, like, yeah. Anyway, so that's that track. Marlboro Circuit. Another very straightforward track. There is a version of Marlboro Circuit, I believe in Knockout Tour. I don't know, but I believe it's in Knockout Tour, where you do this track backwards. And there's certain tracks that are like that, where you do the track backwards. This is one of them. I think Crown City is another, but yeah. Alright. So you want to mushroom through this. If you get a feather, that's no big deal. And yeah. And now Wario Stadium, there's a couple tricks I want to talk about. There's one big one that I definitely want to talk about, and it's the start. So you'll notice that I'm turning specific ways, like I'll turn left or I'll turn right, and you might think it's to do with the turn, right? Maybe I'm turning a certain way because I have to take a turn tighter or looser, and that is true. So the reason why I am turning left some ways and right other ways is because if the turn is like to the right, like this one was, right? Then what I do is I turn in the direction of the turn, right? The turn was right, but it was also very, very far. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a track with a far turn. Like, for example, this has a far turn. Well, I'm explaining this bad. Let's just put it this way. This track has a far turn, so let's turn in the opposite direction of the track. So, like, the track is a right turn, so let's turn left, right? Like, let's turn around in the left direction instead of a right direction. And if the track is closer, like on Airship Fortress, like the turn, if the turn is closer on, like on Airship Fortress, then what you want to do is turn with the direction of the track. So that turn is a right turn, so you'll notice that I turn in the right direction rather than in the left direction. Ooh, that was slow. But, like, I turn in the direction of the turn, if that makes sense. And it's a lot faster to do that. Alright, so there's that. Whew. Yeah, this track, it's pretty straightforward, but you need to hit this boost panel to skip off-road. Oh, that was slow. If I hit the boost panel, I'd be able to skip the off-road a little more. Okay, I'm glad he hit me because he hit me in the item boxes, which gave me a terrible item, but what can you do? RNG in this game, am I right? Alright, so there's that. Now I'm gonna do Dandelion Depths, then Moo Moo, right? So Dandelion Depths, another straightforward track. There's two different ways you can go because the water section splits in the cave. So, like, the way that I go, I think, is quicker. Well, it should be, because it takes the tighter line in the cave section than the other route. Like, the other route is that big opening off to the, like, over there. And this is the route that I take. I just go right here. I got a feather, which is not great, but I can just do that. And then I got a golden, which is really, really good. Alright. I'm gonna need, on Moo Moo, a golden as well. But if I don't get it, oh well, I'm fine. There's just a fly buzzing around my room, and it's very distracting. But I'm trying to showcase the speedrun, so I will. Alright, so you gotta get those items. Hope for a mushroom or something. Because if you get a mushroom, you can just take that. Sure, you could take the cut off to the left, which I think might be quicker, but I like to take the cut to the right, just in case I get a golden, you know? Getting a feather here is terrible. Like, there are certain areas where getting a feather is terrible, and this is one of them. So what you want to do is just use it and drift through the off-road. It's a lot slower, but it's quicker than going around. Alright. Cheap Cheap Falls is another trick with a lot of text. So what you want to do at the start here, build a... Ooh, that was a weird trick. What you want to do is build a charge jump, and then bounce off of this left wall, so that you can get over that waterfall. Because if you ride the waterfall, it's a lot slower. Riding the waterfall is super, super slow. And also, contrary to belief, you might actually want to ride the sides of the track, because you can just do skips like that, right? So like you can sorry, I was just, that was my best, this is probably my best split for this track. Yeah, That was probably my best split for that track. But anyways, you want to stay in the rushing water rather than the slower water because it'll actually speed you up. That's what I was trying to say, sorry. Now right here, you want to land hopefully on that boost panel. Usually you want to build up a charge jump, but I was a little late and got a bunch of air, which is slow. That's one thing you need to know. Sometimes air time is very, 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 very slow. And you don't want air time in this run. Another thing is you can just skip that entire section right there, which is very useful. In this, alright, watch this. Boom. Alright, where am I? Oh, I'm down here. Sorry. Oh my gosh, that was so dumb. Okay. I just forgot my route entirely. So right here, what you might want to do is go to the finish line and go backwards from there, but because you start basically on the finish line, right? Oh, that was a weird turn. My car just drifted, but it turned way too much. Anyway, since you start on the finish line, basically, you might just be able to, you know, just turn around instead of having to go all the way to the start line, which normally is not okay, but in this run, currently, it is. And I say currently because, I mean, I do it, and my runs haven't been rejected, so, but also because it's like, it's not out of bounds either, so, it's not out of bounds in the knockout tour that goes through that section. Oh, shoot. My B button decided to quit. Okay. So, on this, you want a golden mushroom because, again, speed items on a water section, very, very fast. It's just like Airship Fortress. Or not Airship Fortress, Wario's Shipyard. It's just like Wario's Shipyard. And what you want to do is hopefully have another speed item ready. That way you can get through that second off-road as well. And hopefully a third one to get through through to the finish line. Alright. Now right here, you want to immediately go backwards, jump onto this island, jump down onto this cloud. This track is one of the only ones that I can tell that was completely made to go backwards on. Even in time trials, this track is very, like, backwards friendly, if you know what I mean. Like, I'll show you what I mean by that, actually. Oh, no. No. Okay. There we go. Okay. That was a bad landing, but whatever. So, see this chain? Since that's always there, even in time trials, makes it very backwards friendly. This entire thing is in time trials as well. This ramp, completely meant for you to go backwards. This rail, completely meant for you to go backwards. Like, this track, in general, is a very backwards heavy track. Like, you are completely allowed to go backwards on this. Alright, right here, you want to go on one of those things that doesn't have a jet of water shooting up, because if you get on there and there's a jet of water, it will launch you like 50 feet in the air, and you don't want that because airtime is slow. Mushrooms here are great. You want to have hopefully a mushroom to get through that off-road, but then also a mushroom to get through that right there. And then right here, there's a fly on my shoulder. I refuse to move. Alright, so right there, that's the run. Oh my gosh. This fly is everywhere. Oh wait, sorry. Got distracted. This is the hardest track in the run because, and you'll see this, you'll see exactly what I mean. This is the hardest track in the run. Very, very, very difficult. Super, super hard. Oh my gosh, what tech? Alright, I think all I need is this and Crown City. And I accidentally... Okay, so I accidentally clicked this track first. And you might think that I made a mistake, so I exited out of free roam. But look where I'm at. That's where I could have driven, except I skipped that section, which is a lot quicker than, obviously, than driving it. Alright, a mushroom here isn't great. I need a feather. I need a feather item right here. Right here. Feather. Yes! Okay. So, I can show you two different tech. So, right here... Oh. Okay. Wait, chill. No! Okay. So, the tech involves getting up to that ledge by drifting, but I missed it. So, oops. Huh. Ugh. I can still make the 32-minute checkpoint for this run. But anyways, sorry, that didn't make sense. So anyways, you wanna use the feather right there to skip that jump, and now on to Crown City. So there's traffic on this track. There's traffic. What you want to do is turn in the direction of the traffic, and the reason why is because if you turn in the opposite direction, I could get hit by cars. You know, so that's why I do that. Because you can get hit by a car if you don't. Okay. Actually, I think that actually helped me. I think the truck actually helped me somehow. It's weird. Okay, I'm gonna use this right here. Get through that off-road. Get up there. So that I can then skip that turn. And there we go. And that's the run. Alright. So, if you liked it, please be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.